The Impossible Trinity. Trinity refers to the three variables, and impossible refers to the inability to attain all three variables in life at the same time. The Impossible Trinity is in place everywhere. I can give you three examples. In life, there are three variables: time, health, and wealth. And at any one point in life, the max you can do is 2, or some people are even doing only 1. Similarly, in engineering, there is concept of construction, which will have the three variables of good, fast, and cheap. At any time, when you construct a bridge or any other construction, you can only get maximum 2 at a time. You can either make it good and fast, then it won't be cheap, or you can make it good and cheap, but it won't be fast, and things of that nature. And there's another one in the financial markets. They call it the impossible trinity of the markets, in which you can only keep the prices of two things up at any time. If it's the dollar index, Dixie, the bond market, the TLT, and the stock market or SPX. So only two things, either the stock market and bond market, can be up, and then the currency is down. So the point we are trying to make here is that in life, which is the concept today, time, health, and wealth, you can only attain maximum 2 at any time. You cannot attain 3. So for our spiritual discussion, let's understand what is the most important to run after, because we are constantly chasing all three and is constantly slipping away of these things from us. So as we grow older, which is the natural phenomenon that everybody will undergo, the time is taking away. So you have less time in this body on the planet Earth. And your health is kind of declining. You are at the prime of your health when you're young, but as you're growing old, the vata is increasing the degenerative processes in the body. The wealth is a variable which depends on your lifestyle and your earning capabilities. So the wealth may or may not go down, with the idea being that most individuals in their golden years, older years, will be having better financial conditions than when they were young. So what is the usual trap of life? The trap of life is that when you are young, you have enough time and health, but you have no money. So because you had no money, and that's the subconscious finding lying there, or samskara developing during your early years. In your middle years, when you have the capability to earn money, that becomes your prime goal. So now, because you did not have money growing up, or for your own financial independence, you did not have as much money as a teenager that you would like to spend, you have huge ambitions, desire. And when you become powerful in terms of earning a good income, you try to make money, get a house, buy a car, settle down, make a family, things of that nature. Okay, all these things require a lot of capital. So in your middle years, and for this discussion, we will call young years as 0 to 20, middle years as 20 to 40, and after 40, we will call it old years or the older years, because that's the distribution of the doshas in the body. 0 to 20 for kapha, 20 to 40 for pitta, and 40 to 60 for vata. So now, knowing that in the middle years, or younger years, you are deprived of money, the goal in the middle years becomes to make money. As you are slowly creeping through your pitta years, which is the years of youth, vibrancy, your health is slowly peaking. And at some point, it will start declining. Time was always ticking away. It's only that we were less grateful about the uh, idea of time ticking away when we are a kid, because that's the only thing that is in huge supply. But your health is slowly ticking away. The health was very good in the beginning till the formative years, but now it is plateauing and slowly ticking away. The wealth you might be building. Okay, so you traded your time and health for the wealth or the money in the middle years. Okay, didn't seem like a bad idea at that time. Come to your Vata years. Once you cross 40, slowly Vata or the degenerative processes in the body start to accumulate. So you will have aches and pains of the joints, the degeneration of the joints. If people had bad habits of smoking, then they will have more smoking related conditions, which includes elevation of blood pressure, as well as COPD, lung conditions, as well as certain forms of cancers. And then we suddenly realize, because that's the strange thing about the human mind, human beings have enormous ability to take things for granted. So all the hard work you did to make all the money, you suddenly don't value it much, and for a good reason. Because at that point in life, we have gotten a little older, and we are getting more and more old every day. So you start thinking about your life and what you did with your prime years of life. If you have utilized your time very well on a spiritual level, then there is very little to be regretful about. However, if you have done a lot for the monetary aspects and done very little with whatever you perceive your purpose or karma to be, then you are going to be very regretful. And dying with a lot of regrets, resentments, is the example of an unsuccessful life. So, success means pursuing whatever your purpose was that you deemed to be your purpose, and acing that purpose. When you have a wrong purpose set up, that just means that you're in a tamasic mode or rajasic mode. But a sattvic mind was always mindful of its purpose, being elevation of its spiritual practices, because that's where all the truth in life comes to light. And then you realize that all the money you made or the fickle relationships you had do not count, because all of them will be re-established for you in your next life, assuming you did not achieve enlightenment and salvation in this life. So in older years, not having time is one regret that all of us have, and not having health is another regret that you have. Some people, if they're extremely rajasic mentality, they might still be feeling that we don't have enough money. But at the end, you are trading your time for money, and sometimes you even lose your money. Some people who are young and penniless, and some people have lost even their youth and now they're old and penniless. So that's why they will continue to think about the money. However, most individuals would have attained some financial freedom, where they look back and say, okay, we have certain possessions, house, car, a certain decent lifestyle. And these individuals wonder what purpose were they chasing. So now, instead of not attaining the purpose, they are thinking about the frivolity of the purpose that they had. So the wise individual, understanding that time is always elapsing away, health will elapse away, tomorrow will be worse than today, does not chase wealth. There is a certain level of financial freedom you need, and for people living in the US, it's said to be $100,000, and that's what the studies have shown. After that, money does not bring you happiness. You might get accustomed to a certain lifestyle, but it does not create further happiness. Now, happiness is very strange term. If they say ignorance is bliss, that is a very strong reason to understand that your happiness is only as good as your purpose. If your purpose was to attain monetary wealth, financial freedom, and you exhausted your life doing that, then you might feel a little happy that you have something. For some people, it might be passing on their genes. to their progeny, to their kids, creating kids, seeing the happiness or success, because they identify with the success of the kids as their own success. All these are extremely superficial ways of looking at life. Life has a bigger purpose than just what amount of money you have accumulated or how the kids that you have created are doing. Life has to do with what your spiritual achievements have been in your this life and how much progress you have made in that path, so that you can carry forward in your next life. So once you understand that, you know that of the three variables, the variable of time is the one that determines success at the end of the life, the spiritual success. If you have utilized your formative, which is kapha, 0 to 20 years, as well as the pitta, or the 20 to 40 middle years of life, in trying to sharpen your practices, spiritual practices. It could be dhyana, it could be karma yoga, it could be bhakti yoga. Then you have utilized your time very well. Then there is nothing to be regretful about. And of course, there is no resentments, because peace and resentment cannot coexist. So the point here that we are trying to make is that try to utilize your formative years to obtain whatever you deem to be a good profession. But once you enter that profession, try to work in Nishkam Karma. Nishkam Karma is the mindset where you are working with the idea of how much help you can provide to your client, your customers. Whether you are a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, whoever you are working with or whoever you are working for, how well you can do a job. Because if you have the process in mind and not the profits at the end, then you are working in the mode of flow. You are working in the mode of Nishkam Karma. And of course, it will accrue you income anyways, but you are never working for the money. You are working for something that you are passionate about and creating a change in that process. So, my friends, Nishkam Karma is what you have to do if you are doing karma. Now, at certain points, if you have dispassion towards work, you might cut back towards the work and start more of the other practices, being Dhyan Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Maybe the contemplation, the meditation, the Dhyana, Dharana, Samadhi, the last three of the Ashtanga Yoga, or you can go for Bhakti Yoga, where you start with mostly the chanting and the worshipping practices that we do. So in the end, there has to be utilization of different modalities of yoga. Whether you are thinking of Dhyan Yoga coupled with the Kriya Yoga, Dhyan Yoga or the Karma Yoga or the Bhakti Yoga. When you are doing yoga, you are utilizing your time well. When you are utilizing your time well, as you grow old, you are not fearful of the end of life. You become more accepting of the way life proceeds. And also, you have exhausted your desires. Never worry about the cravings. Worry about the content of your desires. So if you had a past desire, which you have been always practicing, then of course the cravings will come back. You can fight them once, you can fight them twice, and the third time they will try to create a dent. But as long as that practice is more in the mode of fulfilling your craving, rather than creation of a new desire, to find a new avenue to intensify the existing desire, then you are not flaring up that desire. And any desire that is not flared up will slowly exhaust and extinguish. And that's how it creates cravings while it's exhausting and extinguishing. So always worry about the content and direction of your desire rather than the intensity and repeatability of the craving that is coming while you are abstaining from the desire. So when you have made it a point to indulge in Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga and Dhyan Yoga, the three yoga, and while you are practicing the Panch Pratyahara, the cleansing of the Mahabhuts that we have talked about by the 5 practices of intermittent fasting, alkaline water consumption, exercises, meditative contemplative dhyana, and the Bhakti Yoga chanting, when you do these cleansing activities of the Mahabhuts in your body, Panch Pratyahara, in top of the 3 yoga, then you are creating the right setup for attaining spiritual ascentment, spiritual freedom. So, my friends, the main idea is to have fulfillment of your purpose while understanding that my purpose is sattvic and not a tamasic or a rajasic purpose of attaining more wealth or attaining more fulfillment of desires. So, you have to define your purpose, that is a sattvic purpose, and then work towards fulfillment of that purpose. That's why when you're doing that all the time, you will have a lot of contentment, peace, and you will not have any resentment. Because Gita teaches you when you have tamasic purposes, then you are constantly like animals doing that same thing again and again, and you don't even know that you are in pain. That is the beauty of tamas. Where Rajasic people have some awareness, so they might go for making wealth and money, but in the end, there will be wish or the poison kind of feeling. In the first it feels amrit, and end it feels poison. In the first you are happy, in the end you feel sad. Whereas sattvic people, because they have balanced it out through their lives, they manage their family and they manage nishkam karma and they do spiritual practices, they have utilized the time to the best of their ability, lived a very scheduled life, and hence there will always be peace and satisfaction as they are growing older, what we call aging gracefully. So, my friends, be always fixated on the idea of time, knowing that time is the variable in time, health, wealth that is constantly shrinking. The health, you can even make it better by taking more care of your body into the older years. And the wealth is the thing that you have to worry the least. Once you have hit the minimum baseline of meeting your muladhar, food, water, shelter, then you don't have to try to satiate the leisure, pleasure, swadhisthana, because that is where you get consumed by the money you make instead of consuming the money that you are creating. So, my friends, please keep in mind that your yoga practices should always be a part of your life, and that is what has to intensify as you grow old, because that is the process in which you'll create peace in your mind, and when you have become desireless, you become peaceful, and when you're too peaceful, then you go into the path of bliss. So always recognize that time is the factor that is slowly decreasing and creeping away from you. So it is the utilization of the time using the sattvic goals of yoga that you have to practice and thereby attain peace and happiness. Jai Shri Ram.